Joining us now is host of My View with Lara Trump. Lara Trump is with us, and it's always great to see you. What really gets me about this, Lara, is where were the Carvilles and the Mansions of the world as these socialists, these communists were slowly infiltrating the party, and now we've gotten to a point where it's gotten out of control, and they're all saying, well, we don't want to be a part of this party, but it's too late, and that is what is frustrating about this. Where's James Carville going to go once his party is taken over?
I mean, I would love to see all these people run to the Common Sense Party, Jackie, which is, of course, the Republican Party. And it's kind of amazing because if you look at where the Democrats were in the 90s, a lot of their policies align with what Donald Trump is doing as president today. It's wild to see the shift, but you're right. Where were all these people and where was the leadership? And I think that is the key here. There was such a void at the top with Joe Biden as the leader of the Democrat Party. I mean, an empty suit is a nice way to put it when you talk about Joe Biden as president. He was using the auto pen, as we know, on everything. But when you don't have that leader at the top and your only policy points seem to be anything anti-Trump we can find, then you really do have a huge opportunity for people with energy like the socialists to come in and take things over. And that's exactly where the Democrats have found themselves. They boxed themselves into this corner. No one was willing to speak about it as long as their voters went along with going against Trump and people were still voting for the Democrat Party. And now what's happened is these socialist members of the party are saying, we want the old guard out. We want to push these people out. We want a full takeover. And yes, tomorrow night will be interesting in places like Michigan, but the real tell will be on November, whenever we have these midterm elections. And you really see the sentiment of the American people, because while James Carville says there that he doesn't think most of the party agrees with it, 52% of Democrats in recent polling say they have a favorable opinion of socialism, and that is very scary.
Yeah, Lara, you said it. There's a leadership vacuum that has created the situation we're dealing with right now. But I want to bring up, President Trump was underestimated early in his political career to the detriment for the Democrats in their world, but to our benefit. Is there a risk here of underestimating what could happen with the results with the DSA that could have an impact in the actual midterms? Or is it really just, hey, they're giving us plenty of ammunition to win the elections in November?
Well, I think a lot of this will depend on what happens between now and November. And I think it's up to the RNC, Republicans across the board, to ensure we continue to warn the American people about it. Because, Lou, you're right. People underestimating these individuals is exactly how New York City ended up with Zoran Mamdani as mayor. People kind of laughed it off originally and said, oh, these crazy ideas, no one is going to go for this. But the problem is we have an education issue right now where you have a whole group of Americans who really have not been taught the dangers of socialism and communism. And it sounds great right now to say, oh, we're going to give you all this stuff for free. And they're not really thinking about the consequences of voting for people like this when they want to give amnesty to every illegal alien, stop, funding the Department of War, crazy stuff that would really transform America for the worse. So, yeah, I think you're right. We cannot take our eye off of this, and we cannot take any of this less seriously, because there is a big problem whenever you look at this party and where we've already come with, again, Mamdani is mayor of New York City.
Yeah, I think about what you're saying, Common Sense Party, and how the Democrats were in the 90s, Bill Clinton in his first term, shifting center, wanting that second term. There was a lot of economic prosperity. Both sides were working together. You still had, problems, but they were nothing like this in terms of the polarization. And so I go back to your point about the Trump derangement syndrome and how Democrats got so angry about Donald Trump being in the White House the first time and now again, that they completely abandoned their principles and allowed this vermin to slowly sneak up to the surface.
And the problem, too, Jackie, is with so many of these policy points and proposals for the American people that at not too long ago they were in favor of, like securing our border, simply because Donald Trump was the one who suggested it. They had to go the opposite way. So it would be bad enough if they just completely abandoned ship. But then you had 4 years of Biden in there, and they went so far the opposite direction. It was so detrimental to the American people. But they have to figure out who they are once again. again, but you talk to a lot of Democrats. I talked to a Democrat today who said in that Michigan race he would be happy to fundraise for Mike Rogers. This is a lifelong Democrat because if El Said wins, he is terrified in terms of the future of his party.
Yeah, it is frightening, and we will be watching this very, very closely. We so appreciate your time tonight. Lara Trump, thank you for joining us.